I made the decision to tackle this in January. We basically started ramping up for this. Nearly 5 months of training with this event in mind. It's one of my standard ones, I guess. It's easy because I don't have to get in the car and drive anywhere, step out the door and head along our coast road over to Loch Hyne, a small hill in the area here that has a little trail leading to the top. Doing several reps up and down that, and then I'll generally come back here, and that will take about maybe 2 hours, 2.5. I'll swap some bottles out, and then I'll head down the coast in another direction to the east, and that's got some really nice views along there. And today's about 3.5 hours, maybe 35k. There's probably more than one goal in mind. Firstly, leaving Castletownbere and going as fast as I can all the way to Ballycastle, which is about 1,000 kilometres along the Island Way. That's the athletic goal. In addition to that, I'm hoping to raise awareness of the Temple Street Children's Hospital, or the Children's Health Fund, and the different children's hospitals that they manage and oversee across Ireland. And I guess thirdly, it's a journey that is going to take a team. It's not just me running on my own, there's going to be all sorts of support. So what I hope to achieve is just building many, many good memories amongst the team of people who have decided to help me out with this. It's a lot more than just running. Presently the plan is to achieve somewhere between 80 to maybe 110, 120 kilometres a day. Yeah, what I'm doing is crazy, but it's a way of really challenging myself on many different levels.
I first met Jason down at his house through his wife. When he came back from Australia, he had taken up trail running, which was something I hadn't heard of. And I started looking at how trail runners did runs. There was a girl who ran from one end of England to Scotland, but that was all road running. So I thought the Ireland Way was going to be similar to that. The Ireland Way is all trail, it's more hills. We don't go around mountains, you go over them. So it wasn't at all what I expected. I made a joke and I said, well, if you do the Ireland Way, you'll have to get a camper van. Claire texted and said, you will not guess what Jason has bought. And I said, what? And she said, a camper van. So then I knew he was serious, yeah.
The old saying with ultra running is it's an eating competition with a little bit of running. And I think it'll be very true here as well. It will be very hard to match the calorie burn each day with the amount of calories that I can put into my body. Quite often it's hard to eat and it's hard to ingest foods or drinks after many hours of running. Gut upsets are quite common and quite normal, so I'm working with a sports nutritionist in the UK, Paul Booth. He's going to be crewing me on this run, so he'll be taking care of a lot of that for me.
During the event, obviously Jason's going to have high energy needs, so that roughly for someone Jason's size, that's going to work out about 9,000 calories a day, which is more than a Tour de France rider each day. So it just shows, how extensive this is. What we really want more than calories though is to think about how we're going to fuel Jason and Matt's through carbohydrates while he's out on the run. This is going to be things like bars and gels and drinks. But every couple of hours or so, when he has a break, we'll look at real food, so putting in sandwiches, wraps, rice, pasta, potatoes. So a lot of starches within Jason's diet, and ultimately this is what is going to get him through and keep him energised each day.
Trying to put together the puzzle of how to move across the country for 80 to 120 kilometres a day in, day out, and achieve the goal of reaching Ballycastle. Of course, you have to be fit, you have to be well trained. running and hiking up hills, etc., etc. You have to tick all those boxes, but it's the nutrition and feeding en route. It's how do you juggle sleep. A small issue with one of my feet or toes on day 1 or 2, and I don't deal with that properly, that could bite me 5-6 days later.
There's always a big gap between what you've done in training and then what you're expected to do in the race. So having the confidence in the program, having confidence in the body to think, well, I know it's a big gap from 150 Ks a week to 1,000 Ks in 2 weeks, but with the 6 months that I've done that and the fact that I haven't broken down at all, I've been able to keep training back to back to back to back, week after week, month after month, and been fine. I'm confident that I can do what I need to do running the Island Way. So it's really just building mentally and physically that confidence and that resilience in his body and mind to be able to handle the challenge.
It's a puzzle, and it's a puzzle that you really don't know how to put it together, I think, until we've started. We've got a plan in place, but we know that once the run starts and once we hit day 2, 3, 4, then things are going to change. We'll all just have to go with the flow. It's been busy, it's been really busy. Like, there was a period earlier in the week where the list got longer. It wasn't getting shorter, but towards the end of the week the list started getting shorter. And yeah, it's really nice. I mean, Dad and Marina and Renee, Claire, just kind of pulled it all together and loaded all the food and first aid kits and shoes and everything, so everyone's pretty organised. I've been eating a lot the last 24 hours, so I just kind of feel very energised and I guess mentally focused as well. When we pulled out of the driveway here in Trag, it was kind of the beginning of the journey. My father was driving the van and I was sitting in the back, which I'd never done before. I just tried to kind of soak it all in and relax. I was very cognizant of the fact that at last it was starting, knowing that the next time we came back, the journey would be behind us.
Yeah, we live in Australia on the north coast of New South Wales. Well, we're here to support Jason and to help him to achieve this dream and to do whatever we can to assist him. It's mixed emotions for us at this stage because we're learning as we go along. We've learned so much just in the last week since we've been here and just getting ready to roll with this. Yeah, there's a certain sense of apprehension, I guess, not knowing what lies ahead, but I'm sure with the challenge there'll be great rewards. Just being on the journey itself is a reward in itself.
It was kind of surreal that morning in Castletownbere because we had a 9 a.m. start, which was late. And everyone went down to the car park. So the family arrived at about 8 a.m. or something. Aaron had finished school the day before for the summer, and that was really special to have them at the start line, to have the family there, have the kids and have Claire there. And it was just a completely different start to any race or event that I'd had before, just family around. And then 9 o'clock came and we just started running. There was no big celebration or fanfare, there was just a couple of us. There was myself and Paul and Mairead, and I remember holding Zara's hand for a little bit, and I'll never forget that moment actually. It was bizarre. Starting out thinking that we hoped to, at the end of this, reach the north coast of Ireland. It seemed like a long way off, but I guess I kind of prepped myself not to let that be overwhelming either. It was just, I was breaking it down into the next stop, which was about 20 kilometres further down the road when I'd see the crew. So yeah, it was hot from the beginning. It wasn't super hot, but it was warm. And I remember when we got to Adrigole, the first kind of time we met the crew, as I got the water poured over my head, I realised then how hot I probably was getting. Very quickly as the sun climbed, it got quite warm, yeah. The Beara Peninsula, there's a mixture of kind of shallow climbs and descents, and then there's a couple of really steep sections. The backdrop of the ocean with the mountains and the trails, some of the most spectacular scenery across the whole country. Paul and Murray joined me. And it was a really special morning, you know, with the two of them. We just had such a nice time. It wasn't just chatting, and it was just like a Saturday morning out. It was really, really nice. The stops that we had for the first few days were really controlled and organised. Paul was there taking care of a lot of that, and they were almost as important, if not more important, than the actual moving, you know, across the terrain. We had a fairly organised script on what we needed to do, what we hoped to do, and the stops were really key for that. We just did, I think it was 1,600 metres between from the start to here. Between here and Ballycastle, 60k to go, and there's about 1,400 metres of vert, so less vert and longer distance, so it's a little bit more runnable the next 60k. There's still plenty of trails and technical stuff, but there's a lot more road as well. After we left Glengarriff, I was on my own. The camper van couldn't follow me up some of those roads, and the crew had to follow me and kind of navigate and help me navigate. There was quite a bit of coordination between myself and Reenie, how to do it, and Aaron was in the car with Reenie as well, and he was helping to navigate that part. It was quite important to me that that worked well. As the journey went on, my ability to help navigate would become less and less, and I'd be relying on them more to tell me where to go. Culminating is a really beautiful place. It wasn't dark then, it was still light, but it was getting towards the end of the day, and it was a really nice way to kind of draw a close to the daylight hours of day one.
Your dinner's ready?
Oh.
And do you want
It's
to
just
shop?
like this, I've just got this restaurant on wheels. It's just going constantly. I think I got to bed maybe at 1:30, day one, very aware that I only had 4 or 5 hours to sleep before I started day two. Day two was going to be a really long day. I was aiming for, you know, up to about 100 kilometres a day, typically, but this one was showing about 115, I think.
He was putting such pressure on himself to cover a lot of kilometres. I thought he'd settle down, and we might, if we started at 4:30, I thought we'd finish at 4:30. But we didn't.
But all this time away, spend you. 'Cause I can run, but I can't hide the feelings that I know I can't keep bottled up.
Having put 2 days together of 2 long days of roughly 100k each day, I was feeling okay physically, which is where I wanted to be and where I hoped to be. It wasn't something I was surprised at, but it was exactly where I wanted to be. And I guess I was curious to see how I would go over the next few days as well. Day 3 is when I can kind of pinpoint where perhaps things started coming undone a little bit in terms of how I felt. It wasn't a tiredness, but it was just kind of it was an unpleasantness. I couldn't eat as much as what I should have been, and I was just feeling a little bit kind of unplugged from reality. I was listening to the runners running around me, but I felt like I was kind of in a bit of an echo chamber, as perhaps the beginnings of heat stroke. And then we set off. I think at that point actually 2 of the runners left us, and then we got into Tipperary town a few hours after that, and we had another crew set up on the edge of Tipperary town. It was after that stop that the afternoon turned into a bit of a sufferfest for me.
After going through Tipperary town, he found that very warm. He was very hot, running in the town and running on the road. And then by the time he was on his own after that again, he wasn't taking enough liquid. Well done, Jason. And I worried about him then.
The next few hours I can't really remember. When I look at my map on Strava of where I ran that day, I can see where I ran, but nothing rings a bell. It was almost like as the days progressed, the rest period became more of a priority than the mileage, whereas at the beginning I was able to keep the mileage turning over, and I think a large part of that was just the combination of the heat and the diarrhea and the sickness was just sapping my energy. I'm not sure if it was day 4 or 5, but Definitely, as I got sicker, the wheels started really falling off then. And it was that day that I was going to the toilet every 30, 45 minutes as well. And those few days are just a blur, really. I think it was like the 7th of June, Claire and Aaron joined us. That afternoon, before they joined us, I remember running along for several hours, really flat, straight roads, no shade, and just feeling completely exhausted with the heat.
I was concerned. It was very, very slow going.
And I remember seeing the van, and before I even got to the van, I was just pulling my shirt off, and I just walked into the van and collapsed. I remember getting quite emotional, actually, because Claire and Aaron had just arrived and I was at my absolute lowest.
I was ticking off all the places that he had put down on the map, and we had to lose sight of that for a while. The whole thing now was about finishing it. He had given up on putting pressure on that we had to do the 100k a day.
It was that night, I think, that I went to bed and I woke up an hour later and I was just soaked in sweat. And that was the beginning of my night sweats for the rest of the run and for about 8 to 10 days after the run. The next day, I was feeling really, really crap. At some point, the car came up behind me and I think it was Claire in the car. And I went back to her and I remember leaning inside saying to her, I can't do this, I'm done. I can't move, I can't even walk. I don't know what's going on, but I'm really sick. Something's completely wrong. It's not just fatigue from running. And Claire said to me, you turn around and go out there and keep going. You started this, you're going to finish this. So I turned around with my tail between my legs and kept walking down the road. And I found out later, of course, that was really, really hard for Claire to say, but I'd said to all the crew before this, whatever you do, never ever suggest I quit. At some point, I think Paul came along in his car and we had a chat for 5 minutes and he agreed something was desperately wrong. It was like 9 in the morning and we just said, that's it for the day, we need to do something here. So we stopped. Claire took me to the hospital in Beara-Breifne Way and I went to A&E.
He was going into the car to go to the hospital. He could hardly walk. And he had his slippers on and I thought, oh my God, how is he going to go back running?
We got x-rays done, we got bloods done. I had an ECG done as well. And they put me on a trolley in A&E for a few hours while they were waiting for the blood tests. And that was that to me it was almost like the end of the journey. I spent most of that day wondering how on earth we'd get beyond this. So Claire rang the doctor in Skib and she said to go and get some blood tests. So we got blood tests in the hospital. The results, well, there's a whole bunch of numbers, but basically CKE, or the muscle enzyme, like it's a measure of the breakdown in the muscles in the body. The normal range is 0 to 190, and mine is 5,300.
Well, the priority is just you staying well and not to push yourself to those extremes. If you're having further symptoms tomorrow.
The doctors, they're going to always err on, their interest is in not me getting to Ballycastle, their interest is in me not injuring myself. But I need to rest. I need to rest now. That's because if I don't get the rest, I won't be able to run another 500 kilometres in the next week.
Hospital, of course, they want you to have healthy readings of all the vital signs, but that's not really realistic for someone doing an endurance event. So there's that side of it, and then on the other side, of course, is the fact that we've got to be, the number one concern is his health. If these issues are really, really serious and could lead to damage, then we need to be aware of that too and make the right decision.
The place we're staying here, the lady has been really helpful, and she's arranged for a physiotherapist appointment at 10:15. So that'll be good to get that done. Come back to the van. I might try and eat some more food, and then I'll hopefully get 2 or 3 of the crew just to come for a walk, and we'll just start walking and see how we go from there. So yeah, the intention right now is this afternoon to try and put some miles in.
He took off running. He was delighted with himself. So he started running, and then I think the family members that are walking with him were a bit surprised.
We're moving slowly, but moving, and at least the legs are okay, and the stomach is okay, but just going really slow. So
He was like Lazarus. He just rose from the ashes again.
Start, wasn't it? We spray the road.
How many K did you do?
26. But it's a good start considering I couldn't walk yesterday. Yeah, I was surprised I was able to run today actually. I wasn't running fast, but at least I could run. It's better than what it was, but it's still not. I think it's going to take a few days to heal, so I was very conscious of that today, just keeping my temperature down and not stressing the stomach at all. So I do remember now that morning in the van, getting ready with Claire, thinking, I'm done. I was going through the motions of getting ready, but that was about as worse as I'd ever felt. So Claire was coming along with me, and she joined me for some period of time that morning, and I can't remember any of that.
He slowed down big time, so he wasn't making great progress, and that was upsetting. We didn't say anything because it was Jason's decision, what he was going to do.
He did a long run, not feeling well. He called us, all of us, the crew. I'm recording in a video using my phone.
At the last 2 nights, I wake up when I'm changing and I feel like I'm just stuck in some kind of nightmare. When I woke up this morning, I said to Claire, I can't go on, I can't do this. I said, I'm going to get to the halfway mark and call it quits and stop. At least I can say I did half of it. And then I was talking to my coach this morning, and I sent a message to Paul as well. So I'm going to take 2 nights and 1 whole day of nothing except just rest and normal food, none of this processed stuff, nothing to do with, no thinking about running, no thinking about the Island Way or anything, just switch off for tonight, all day tomorrow, and switch off tomorrow night, and then see how I am the next day.
Are we at 500 now, Jason?
I think so.
This is an amazing feat.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for all your support, guys.
It's a privilege.
Is he giving up or not? So in a way, we're in the middle. And yes, so we're all quiet. And in a way, we understand there's a lot of challenges. He's human.
I kind of found peace with that decision. I just said to myself, that's the decision. If I wake up through the night and have to change my clothes and sweat it out, I'm still not better. I'm not going to push on.
Once he committed to that day in the hotel to say, right, I'm not even going to think about doing even 1 kilometre, I'm just having a rest day, mentally it means you can flick the switch off. He's now no longer in FKT mode, now he's in recovery day mode. People underestimate the mental fatigue that goes on with challenges like this. It just wears you down day after day after day, having to do the same thing. Unless you've done something like this, it's really hard to understand the mental fatigue that happens, and even simple decisions get very, very difficult. So to have that day where he could just switch off completely and just do nothing really helped him, I think, refocus and go, okay, I'm going to come good. I've got a chance to still make the FKT. Let's give my body the chance. If I can run this, then I can still do the challenge. So I think that day off was really critical to mentally freshen up as well as physically.
We marked the road just before Ballyno, and we were back there in 2 days.
And of course that night I sweated 5 or 6 times and changed everything. And but I had a day off and I woke up and I got dressed and powdered my feet up and put my shoes and socks on and had my breakfast and we went out really early. I think I got up at about 4 a.m. and I was running by 5 or just after 5.
On Monday morning, back we were, and he was ready to go again. The idea, I think, was that he'd walk it, but not at all. He took off, he was fine.
And I managed to knock out 100 kilometres that day. So that was a nice turnaround from kind of wondering would I be able to keep going at all to doing 100 kilometres that day, and that got us up to around about just over 600 kilometres into the run. Fancy seeing you here. If I just keep going, I just look upon this as a really big week at work and just work really hard. Then by Friday night or Saturday afternoon, the week will be over and we'll have achieved Ballycastle.
Unbelievable.
Got through the second last day. I remember running down in towards Coleraine. I think I was on a bit of a high because I knew I only had one more day left to run, and went to bed that night knowing I had 70 to do to get to the end the next day. The last day was the hardest day of the entire run, and that really surprised me. It was just a total grind the whole day. My ankle was just twice the size of the other ankle, so every step I took was just jarring through my whole body. My right ankle was just screaming at me. From Coleraine, you go up through Portrush and seaside towns, people on holidays. The Giant's Causeway was nice for me because I pulled up and saw all the crew there. There were tourists there, there were people, and I kind of felt like I was part of the world again. I was out of my little bubble of pain.
I can't feel that, yeah. It's numb. Maybe it's the Panadol, maybe it's the cream. It's just double.
I think it's the cream.
It's double the size. But the Panadol has been a lifesaver. I've been able to run.
This one, Jace?
Yes, please.
One of my friends and work colleagues, Donald Young, met me there, and he'd run with me 2 days earlier, and he joined me for the last 20 or 30 kilometres all the way into Ballycastle.
It's fantastic what he's going to achieve now in the next few hours. The run itself is amazing. You've seen the scenery here today and over the last few days. It's fantastic. Now, what an achievement. The resilience of the guy is incredible. The strength and the stamina of the guy is incredible. I'm just here just to maybe do what I can just to lend a hand for the last few Ks.
There was some trails up and down along the coast there, and then it went down onto a beachy section. And the beach was quite long. Then there was some scrambling around rocks and things as well, and so I was quite tired at that point, and I wasn't very agile either because my ankle was all messed up. But that was made a lot easier with Donal. Make sure you get to the finish line.
Yeah.
You missed the last one in Alice Springs.
Make sure you get there too.
I'll get there. Thanks so much. You've been a star. You've been a star.
We believe in you.
You're right, mate. The road will be silk now for you. It's so easy, that last bit.
At the very end, in like the last half an hour on his Instagram, there's a live feed going and we were watching that from home.
Any of Jason's friends and family in the street, give him a wave.
Really proud, happy for him. There's a few times I didn't think he'd make it, but yeah, he pushed through.
Came up really fast. I knew it was a few kilometres out, and I knew there was a little bit of a downhill going into Ballycastle, but I thought we still had longer to go, and we came around a corner and I could see the finish line.
Seeing him come over the top of the hill, running down that final hill before he hit the park, and it was just really incredible that here he was just about to do it at last, and so exciting.
Over there.
Yeah, it was the most amazing feeling ever. I knew I'd probably be a little bit emotional, but everything just came out then, and as I ran down that street, I was just aware that I was crying while I was running into there, and it was just an amazing sense of relief. Just totally overwhelmed with where we were, and seeing all the crew there at the end, seeing everyone at the finish line was just it was just amazing.
Particularly at the finish, with that raw emotion that he showed when he was at that sculpture there and he just broke down. I knew everyone's camera was on him at that stage, but I just needed to be over there and put my arm around him for a minute or two. That was a very special moment. I'll treasure that one for sure.
Take this one off, yeah? It was just incredible for Dad to be able to be here, on this journey. To actually make it to the end, and for him to be there at the end as well, was something really special.
There was a sense of relief, number one, that he had did it for himself, but there was also a great sense of achievement that what he had done with our help, I suppose, and the support that was there from the people who started out with him. And I just felt very proud of him, to be honest.
Yeah, when he gets to the finish line, I cried because we've seen how this event is very important to him, and we've seen every day there's a lot of sacrifices, there's a lot of challenges, but I think it's all worth it. You've done it, Jace.
We called Dad's phone once he had finished, and yeah, it's just a very emotional phone call.
Thanks.
I don't really remember much of what we talked about. I just remember there was lots of tears.
Just can't believe we made it.
I'm happy he's finished.
lot of people see the run, they see the 14 days and the trip across Ireland, and I guess what no one sees really is the training that goes in behind the scenes and the time that takes from other things that you could be doing with your family. I mean, we've got 3 amazing kids and a wife. So, yeah, without a doubt, the time sacrifice is huge. The lesson I got out of the run was just watching the way people gave so much time to me and helped me achieve my goals. And those goals wouldn't have been achieved without them being there, giving me their time. So I'm just very aware of that, and I'm very aware of where I put my focus and my energy now in terms of helping others as well.
Yeah, it's just insane, like running 1,000 kilometers. I guess just put your mind to it and you can do it. And that's like the same with everything.
His dad is so proud of him, and our family back in Australia is very proud of him.
I told Aaron that in years to come they'll read about their father, because I think he has made history. He'll be the man who ran the Ireland Way.
I hope someone comes up to me in the near future and says, I'm going to give the Ireland Way a crack, Jason, because I'd love to help anyone that wants to give that a go, even if they want to break the record. It's just such an amazing journey. It's so much more than an FKT. It's a journey across the route and the beauty of seeing Ireland. Ireland is just a beautiful country, and the Ireland Way just kind of captures so much that you don't normally see. It's a phenomenal experience.
So what Jason managed to achieve after such a setback was absolutely amazing. It's a great story of ultra running. Got to the top of Ireland, still getting a brand new FKT, did a lot for charity. So there was a lot of drama, and it just shows Jason's determination. And I think that also shows that, you know, why Jason is now one of the best age groupers in ultra running in Ireland.
Probably summed up in the message that he sent to the local school down there the other day, and where he encouraged the kids to, if they want to achieve something, to never give up.
Good morning, Castletownbere National School. We're on day 14 here. Tomorrow we get to the end, to Ballycastle. It's taken 15 days to travel 1,000 kilometres across this amazing country that we all live in. I want to wish all of 6th class all the very best today. It's your last day. All I want to say is, guys, just take what I've done as a small lesson in life, that you should never, ever, ever give up on anything that you want to do. If you have something you want to do, you just go out and you do it. It might be hard, you might have doubts, there'll be times when you think you can't do it, but if you stick to it, you can do it. So never, ever, ever give up. Enjoy the summer.
I think that was the crux of it, yeah.
You can do what you put your mind to. It's not always going to be easy. I'm not sure if I reach my limits. I'm not sure if we ever know if we've reached our limits.
Those who joined, here's Jason on his last kilometre on his epic 1,000 kilometre solo run the length of Ireland. You can smell the sight of the finish line. I'd say after 1,000 kilometres, it's about the best thing he's going to smell all week. There's Ballycastle Harbour, guys. It's beautiful. The temperature this evening, 17 degrees. Slightly overcast. It's been a glorious day for running. Come on, Jason! The last 50 metres! Here he goes. Go for it, Jason. You're still alive.
And that's that.
You can't say that.